Hello and welcome to the Rugby Championship preview from DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget you can sign up for my weekly newsletter so you don't miss out on anything that I do. A link above on Twitter, down below on YouTube. And this is something that will also be a major topic of the Rugby Chat podcast on Tuesday evening live on YouTube from 8 till 9 New Zealand time, and then obviously out as a podcast. Get hold of that through iTunes. So let's kick off. The Super Rugby season is now done and dusted and in the past. It went pretty much, I think, as a lot of us would have expected pre-season, in that the New Zealand teams went well, the Australian teams didn't, the Lions went well in South Africa, and a few others did okay. So obviously interest and intrigue along the way, but not huge surprises from the kind of macro or higher level point of view. And now we head into the Rugby Championship. Obviously Australia have had plenty of time to prepare their squad as they got knocked out in the early rounds of the playoffs. It's going to be a little less preparation time for the All Blacks and the Springboks, and obviously the Pumas. Well, they've been in camp all year with the Haki Warriors anyway, so that doesn't make much of a difference. Let's have a quick look at last year before we look forwards. So the table finished with New Zealand in first place, having won 6 games with 6 try bonus points for a maximum of 30 points in total. A long way back came Australia in second place with 3 wins, 1 try bonus point to get 13 points. South Africa were in third with 2 wins and 2 losing bonus points, putting them on 10 points. And finally, Argentina came last with 1 win over South Africa at home, plus a losing bonus point, giving them 5 points at the bottom of the table. So that's how we finished off last year. Things have moved around a little bit this year, and our starting point really should be having a quick check out as to how the teams did in the June international window. Now, clearly, for the June international window, it wasn't just June, it was June and July for the All Blacks, because they had the Lions tour this year, which finished with a 1-1 draw. So I have to see how they come out of that. The All Blacks have a tendency of losing 1 game a season, so in one style you could say that's out of the way now, and they're looking at a clean sweep from now on. For another style, you could say, hey, with Cruden, Charlie Fuamoina, and a few other players leaving, we're in a bit of a transition phase ahead of the Rugby World Cup, and maybe this is an opportunity to get the jump on them. I think Julian Sevilla has also been left out. There's a lot of young players in that squad with not that many caps coming through. So maybe there is an element of now is a good time to get them off post Lions. We'll see. Looking at Australia, Australia came out of it with 2 wins and a loss, beating Fiji and Italy. Now those are 2 sides you should beat if you're wanting to be in the top 4 or so in the world. And let's be honest, that's where Australia do see themselves and where they want to be. They expect themselves to be in that top 3 or 4 places in the world ranking. So they should be beating teams like Fiji and Italy quite comfortably. Sandwiched in between those 2 games, though, was a loss to Scotland. Now, yes, Scotland are an up-and-coming team, but they were missing a couple of players through the Lions. Not a lot of players, not in the same way that England or Wales or Ireland were, but they did miss a couple of players. So that wasn't a full strength Scotland side, near full strength, obviously, but not actually a full strength one. So. Australia will be disappointed with those results. Also, if you look at the squad that Cheika has selected, there's only 1 fly half in the squad, saying that Quade Cooper hasn't played well enough this season. And when you've only got 3 of your fly halves that play Super Rugby that are Australian qualified, you can see there's not much depth there, and they have a bit of a problem if one of them falls out of form. So. With Foley being the only one recognised fly half in the squad, his fitness is going to be key. Clearly they've got Beale who can step in there, and others who could potentially have a bit of a go. But fly half isn't their natural position, and it is really a bit of a makeshift one. I remember back to the Lions tour 4 years ago when you had James O'Connor stepping up playing fly half for the Wallabies. He's not really a pure fly half, and that's not what you, and at international level you need that. So you've got to be concerned about the Australia squad and their preparation for this, having lost to Scotland, who are an upcoming nation, but still losing to Scotland in that June window. Next, South Africa. Now, South Africa had a very good June window. They came out of it with 3 wins against France, and the South Africa A beat the French Barbarians 2-0 as well. So that was a very good series for them. When you compare that to their November international window, where they didn't win a single game, you've got to say things have turned around quite markedly. So there is a question though: is this one step forward and two steps back? When you look at the selection, there are some interesting, I think it's the way to put it, selections in the Springbok squad, and we kind of seem to get that all the time because obviously the quotas and all the other issues that are going on in South Africa, the political issues. So when you've got Cumbrick, who is devastating on the wing, and you've got to say a bit of surprise that he hasn't been picked for the Springbok squad. There's going to be some question marks as to whether they've got the strongest squad possible that they could have. So we're going to. So whilst there's all that positivity, you've got to say it is recent. It is a big turnaround. France don't tour well in the June windows quite often because the top 14 runs so late, so they didn't have all their players for the first test, and obviously there's not much preparation time when those players do fly down and other things like that. So they're not it's not the best benchmark, and it's not the typical or full strength French side. Finally, Argentina faced off against England. Now this was an England side missing, was it 13 or whatever it was, players to the Lions. So this was not a full strength England side either. And some of their first choice players were there. Chris Robshaw, for example, off the top of my head, and George Ford, etc. So it wasn't an awful side by any stretch of the imagination, but it also wasn't a full strength side. And to go down 2-0, it's going to be disappointing for Argentina. They then did play Georgia in their final game, and they won that game, and they should do. Georgia have never beaten a Tier 1 side. Sure, Georgia have automatically qualified for the next Rugby World Cup. They are a Tier 2 nation on the up, and a lot of people see them very positive about them, but they have never beaten a Tier 1 side. So you'd expect the Pumas to win that game. So out of all of that, how do I see things going? Clearly, New Zealand are favourites to win this by a landslide and to probably win it with 6 clear wins. South Africa are the team on the up, and let's be honest, they're used to having all those other issues going on backstage. So it's not like that's new for them, and it shouldn't be particularly unsettling. Australia are in a bit of a mess, and the Pumas. This is a great opportunity if the Pumas can pull it together to perhaps get ahead of Australia in this tournament. So that's how I see it finishing. I think Australia will probably finish ahead of Argentina, but I say that those two should be tight at the bottom, with New Zealand clear at the top, and South Africa in a bit of no man's land in between. Do let me know your thoughts down below. You can either on Twitter or on YouTube. I do get back to everybody, and also don't forget signing up for that newsletter. Link above on Twitter, down below on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be back next week with more Mitre 10 Cup, Currie Cup, the Rugby Championship predictions. So do join me for those.